Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to today's video. Today, we'll be talking about why being shy as a man is seen as unattractive and what you can do about it. This is something that started when I was 17. I remember having a conversation with one of my female friends at the time of why she told me a shy man is the most unattractive thing possible. She said it's your responsibility as a man to approach and initiate the conversation and not to allow shyness or social anxiety to hold you back. She said you can be the most attractive guy possible, but if you are seen as shy and quiet, it's an extreme turnoff and she would just not give that guy a chance. Because she said, I don't want to feel like the man in the situation. I don't want to feel like I need to carry the relationship or conversation. And the most simple point she said was this: if you cannot conquer your shyness or social anxiety, how can I trust you to be the man in my life? How can I trust you to take care of me? And if we're going to have a family, how are you going to take care of that? How are you going to provide for us? How am I going to look to you for security? And that was a really good point that had me thinking was shyness is something that we all inherently have. I think a little bit of social anxiety is always there and always present, but it is our responsibility to navigate that and overcome that. What happens is we have shyness because we have a fear of rejection. It's the simplest thing. It's kind of like the idea of that when I was a child and you try to go approach something or talk to someone new, you felt embarrassed, right? People ostracized you. You probably did something stupid. So you don't want to feel like that again. You don't have those negative feelings. What happens was your needs were probably not met as a child and they probably weren't met immediately. So what you did was when I have issues, when I have needs, you had this internal thought of, it doesn't matter. Help is not on their way. And this didn't allow you to build healthy self-esteem. Shyness is a thing that we all deal with, right? But we can't let it conquer our minds. We can't allow that to hold us back because it's the truth. If you can't conquer shyness and initiating conversation, what can you really do? You can be the most qualified person at your job, right? But it comes to social interaction, human dynamics. You have to be able to hold a conversation. You have to be able to conquer that. Shyness is passivity. I think it's okay. Sometimes it's okay to be quiet. There's nothing wrong with being quiet. But if the situation commands you to be better, the situation commands you to speak up, stand up for yourself, that is what the situation requires. But you have to do that. You have to find ways to overcome these hurdles. And social anxiety is a difficult thing, right? It feels like social death. You feel like a feeling of impending doom. If I do this, if I talk to someone, if I approach someone and they reject me, my entire world is going to burn down. And it's simple. You value their opinion of you more than you value yourself. It doesn't matter what you think, right? This comes to the idea of people pleasing, the nice guy syndrome. I need the validation and approval of the people around me at the expense of my own beliefs so I can feel like I'm valued. You have a difficult time probably being you, right? Being comfortable in your own skin. For the longest time, you felt like you needed to compensate or do something, an act of kindness. But it's kind of coercive. You're being nice to get something. You're changing your views to get something. You're changing yourself to fit in. And I guess it's healthy to a little aspect, right? We change how we speak depending on who we're talking to. Whenever you're speaking to a child, you're not going to, speak very intense and fast. You're going to slow it down and lighten up your voice. In the same way, if I'm having a conversation with my boss, it's kind of different. I think those things is having social awareness and you have to change as the situation demands. But the whole point is being quiet and having one default method for every single person. Having one method of communication for everyone, it doesn't work. One size does not fit all. Being shy is a very unattractive trait. And the same thing as a man. I have a hard time trusting someone who won't stand up for themselves because how can I trust them to stand up for me? How can I trust them if there comes a time where I need someone's help? Maybe there's a crisis or an emergency. I need someone to show up. But if you're shy, I probably won't trust you. I don't know. Maybe it's a very bold statement. I think there's different levels of shyness, right? I think there's a difference of being competent but quiet, but also being a doormat and being very shy and passive where you are not competent or able to help anyone around you because you have sacrificed yourself for this fear, the fear of shyness, the fear of social ostracization. It's an interesting concept. But guys, if you're a man, realize if you want the best life possible, you're going to have to do stuff to overcome this. So how do you overcome shyness? It starts simple. You have to start with simple things. If I go and tell you to be like, okay, overcome your shyness, go and talk to 1 million people. I mean, that's impossible. You probably won't do it and you'll give up on yourself. You need to take baby steps. You have to take an initiative. So what can you do? I would start with saying no. Start with that simple exercise. Start saying no to things by standing up for yourself. And this is the hardest thing, is probably you say yes a lot. You're probably a yes man. Hey, can you help me move this weekend? Yes, even though you're busy. Hey, what are you doing this week? Can I get a drink? Even if you have a lot to do for work. Simple thing. Start saying no. Start expressing your opinions, your genuine opinions, right? If someone's like, hey man, do you want to go watch this movie tonight? Be like, no man, I'm busy. Simple like that. Or hey, I actually don't like superhero movies. What happens is once you start saying no, the momentum will catch up and you'll be able to continually do it. Because your yes doesn't mean anything if you can't say no. But don't just be saying no all the time. But as a simple exercise for the next 30 days, I'd recommend start saying no to things you don't want to do. It's not trying to be necessarily a dick, but you have to find a way to be yourself that you don't have to put others in front of you 24/7 for you to win their approval. By being perfect and so selfless, you become a nobody. It's okay to be inherently selfish to an extent. We all have to, right? You have to make sure your own needs are met before you help others. Otherwise, you're a beggar giving to a beggar, right? Have something, have value to share. But the whole point is this: stop people pleasing. And that's a really difficult thing. But I would recommend standing up for yourself in small ways. Little ways. Start expressing yourself. Start doing things that are out of character for you, right? If you always do your hair a certain way, the next day don't do it. If you're clean shaven every day, don't shave it. You have to realize that even if you stop doing these things to win people's approval, sometimes you realize people actually don't give a fuck. I think that's the biggest thing, is people don't care, right? People are focused on their own insecurities, that they don't really have energy to pay attention to you. And if someone does pay attention to you, well, that's not always the case. But you have to start developing self-reliance. The idea that I'm reliant upon myself. And that will help you overcome the shyness that you have. And it's a learned trait. Think about it. Being shy is a defensive mechanism because being shy allows you to be invisible. Being invisible means no one picks on you because they don't see you, right? Being invisible means no one ever picks you first. No one ever calls on you. No one ever really says hi to you, right? Your brain is thinking, if I'm invisible, there's no problems. But the thing is, you don't exist. You're not even on their radar. People just kind of forget you're there. You're just an NPC. You're a legitimately NPC that no one pays mind to. And that might be a good thing if you want to lay low. But what happens is, you don't have a life. You don't have friends. You don't have social dynamics. It's okay to be in the spotlight. And that's the difficult thing, is if you're really shy, if you put yourself in a spotlight where everyone's attention is on you, you're going to panic. You're going to freak the fuck out because you've never had this much attention in your life. What happens is you've had a lack of attention. You learn to deal with it in a very unhealthy manner, a very immature way of being invisible. But I would say this. To help you overcome shyness, you have to be okay with being the center of attention for a little bit. And that means trusting yourself that people will listen to me because they value my opinion. And that's okay. People want to listen to me. They think I have inherent value. It's this mentality shift. But there's so many different ways we can keep going on and on about how to overcome shyness. But the simple thing is this. Being shy as a man is genuinely seen as very unattractive. You are displaying to the world you are not confident, not courageous, not virtuous, not masculine, which feeds into the Asian stereotype, right? Of the shy, quiet, nerdy, dorky, anime STEM kid who doesn't speak up, who's just invisible, who's just a wallflower. You know what happens is if you're an Asian man and you're perceived as shy, you probably have active stereotypes working against you. There's such a negative connotation associated with the shy, quiet Asian kid. You're seen as effeminate. You're not seen as a man. You're not seen as attractive. I definitely believe in the dualistic polar opposites of the masculine and feminine energies. What happens is if you're seen as nobody, you're almost like asexual. You're not a man, you're not a woman. And it's hard for someone to trust a man who is shy. In the same way, I am very, very wary of a lot of people who are shy and passive and doormats into my life. Because if they can't stand up for themselves, they can't stand up for me during times of a crisis and emergency. Obviously, I can be entirely wrong on this, but this is just my perspective. If you want to talk about this further, please email me at bedroomtalksconsult@gmail.com and set up a one-on-one consultation. It's quite affordable. It's in the description below. If you want to see what I'm up to, follow me on Instagram at m.deep20, also in the description below. As always, wish you the best. Peace out. Namaste.